After the return of the command to Camp Benton from Ball's Bluff, a reorganization of the regiment took place. March 1892 assigned to 3rd Brigade, 2nd Division, 2nd Army Corps, Army of the Potomac. Moved to Harper's Ferry, thence to Charlestown and Berryville. Ordered to Washington, D.C. and then to the Peninsula. The Peninsula Campaign. This campaign started on April 1862 and ended on the 31st of May, 1862. On page 64 it was written, during the stay of the regiment in front of Yorktown, in Company C, Captain J. Scott Todd resigned, and 1st Lieutenant George W. Bachilder was made captain, 2nd Lieutenant J. G. C. Dodge, of Company F being made 1st Lieutenant and transferred to fill the vacancy. Captain James D. Russell, of Company D, was detailed for special duty on the fortifications, and 1st Lieutenant Edward P. Bishop, of Company K, was detailed as aide on the staff of Brigadier General Dana. Sergeant William H. Hill, of Company F, was promoted to be 2nd Lieutenant, Vice Dodge, promoted and transferred. The march to Chickahominy, May 20–25, 1862. On page 73 it was written, it was hot and muggy most of the time. It rained frequently and the men made the acquaintance of the woodtick, and innumerable bugs and specimens of insect life, hitherto unknown to them. The very earth moved with new life. Sticks and twigs were endowed with motion. The men would watch a black twig, 2 or 3 inches long, apparently dead wood, among the leaves, when it would scamper off, and the acquaintance of a new insect called the walking stick was made, although it was a very old inhabitant of the section. They had the gold bug, not the political specimen of later days but a handsome round yellow feller. Lieutenant James G. C. Dodge, of Company F, made quite a collection of these bugs. On May 25, Quartermaster Sergeant S. Nathaniel Prentice, of Cambridge, worn out from the fatigues on the peninsula, was found dead in his tent. He had been mustered in as a sergeant in Company F at Linfield and was very popular. The funeral took place on May 27, and, as the chaplain was absent, on orders, Sergeant Major Edward M. Newcomb acted as chaplain pro tempore, in order that the remains might have a Christian burial. This was one of a number of instances where Sergeant Major Newcomb officiated in a similar capacity. From Chapter 8, The Battle of White Oak Swamp, June 30, 1862 in Henrico County, Virginia, as part of the 7 Days Battles, Peninsula Campaign, as the Union Army retreated southeast toward the James River, its rear guard under Major General William B. Franklin stopped Major General Thomas Stonewall Jackson's divisions at the White Oak Bridge crossing, resulting in an artillery duel, while the main Battle of Glendale raged 2 miles, 3 kilometers, farther south around Fraser's Farm. White Oak Swamp is generally considered to be part of the larger Glendale engagement. Because of this resistance from Brigadier General William B. Franklin's 6th Corps, Jackson was prevented from joining the consolidated assault on the Union Army at Glendale, that had been ordered by General Robert E. Lee, producing an inconclusive result, but one in which the Union Army avoided destruction, and was able to assume a strong defensive position at Mountain Hill. On page 100 it was written, in the early evening, Lieutenant Dodge, of Company F, a sergeant and several men were in front on picket, and when relief was sent out, the little lieutenant expressed his willingness to remain on duty until morning, knowing that all the others were thoroughly exhausted. At 1 o'clock in the morning, orders to march were received. Then the men learned that the rebels had been repulsed at every point on the previous day, with terrible slaughter. The news was cheering, and they were greatly chagrined to know that the Union forces were to again give up a dearly won field, and seek a base of supplies several miles distant. Victory had bought but the right, unmolested, to complete the awful retreat. Page 112, at Harrison's Landing, July-August 1862. Snakes were numerous in the camp at Harrison's Landing. Lieutenant Dodge appeared one day with a huge black snake. One man pulled an adder from his trouser leg, and soon after a copperhead was discovered to have turned in, along with 2 tent mates. Mosquitoes were less frequent here than at Fair Oaks, but every kind of insect abounded. Page 114. 1st Lieutenant J. G. C. Dodge was transferred from Company C, to Company D, and First Lieutenant Oliver F. Briggs from Company A, to Company E. Page 121 August 1862. Fresh from the trials of the Chickahominy and the 7 Days' Retreat, the men of the 19th were a rough-looking lot. The contrast between them and the neatly dressed, spick-and-span 3 months man in garrison at Tenallytown was great. As the 19th stopped at this town, one of the 90-day men asked, "Who's that fellow?" pointing to Lieutenant James G.C. Dodge, of Company F, who stood near, arrayed in a soldier's blouse. "That," said the man addressed, "is our lieutenant." "The devil! Well, he'd be a rough customer to meet in the woods alone." Those who knew Lieutenant Dodge's 5 feet 3 inches best will appreciate this remark most. August 15th to 28, movement to Alexandria. August 24th to 28, moved on the steamship Atlantic to Alexandria. August 28th to 31, to Fairfax CH. August 31st, September 1st, cover Pope's retreat from Bull Run. September-October, Maryland Campaign. Colonel Hinks resumed command. September 14th, Battle of South Mountain Reserve. September 16th to 17, Battle of Antietam. In the Antietam Campaign, we arrived at South Mountain while the battle was being fought, but took no part in it. The 16th of September we reached Antietam, and formed in line of battle. On the morning of the 17th, with our brigade in the center, we advanced in 3 lines of battle, over walls and fences, through fields, under a terrible fire of artillery. The regiment was growing nervous but did not break. Colonel Hinks halted us, put us through the manual of arms, ending with parade rest. Having become steady, we moved forward to a strip of woods, and came upon the enemy strongly posted. Grape and canister, shot and shell, volleys of musketry greeted us, and our men fell as grain before the scythe. 1/2 of our officers and men were either killed or wounded. Colonel Hinks was the first to fall, again terribly wounded. Captain George W. Batchelder was killed, and the command of the regiment and companies changed fast, as one after another officer went down. At the time we were so hotly engaged in the front, we began to receive fire from our left and rear, and discovered that we were being flanked, and must change front to rear. This was done by the 19th Massachusetts and 1st Minnesota. We were now under command of Colonel Devereaux, and were ordered to take a position near a stone wall. We fired as we fell back, holding the enemy until we had reformed our lines, when we again went in, and continued fighting until dark, when we were ordered to support a battery. So let us now hear the after-battle report from Brigadier General George Sayers Green.
General Green, do you have...
Well, I'm George Sayers Green. I command the 2nd Division of the 12th Corps. My corps was led by General Mansfield, Joseph Mansfield, who had been in command of the corps for only 2 days. He was an inspector general, had no battlefield experience, but yet he was given the corps. The 12th Corps was right behind the 1st Corps that General Meade was talking about, and we received orders around 8 o'clock to follow up the attack. And so we did. And so we came out of the North Woods as well, which is on the west side of the Antietam Creek. The 1st Division was led by General Alpheus Starkey Williams, and I have the 2nd Division. And it was clear to me that the 1st Division was in trouble from the beginning. Too many green troops. These were unbattled, not tested. They had never had any firing experience on the battlefield, and so they were shooting into each other. And they were having difficulty crossing that cornfield. Well, my division, like General Meade's, were battle-tested, and we actually were shock troops. And so we moved through the cornfield, and we took the Duncan Church, the position at the Duncan Church, and then entered the West Woods. What I needed to do at that point was to get reinforcements. I needed reinforcements and ammunition because I held the Duncan Church position for over 2 hours. No reinforcements were coming. The communications amongst the Corps was very poor, and we were attacking by regiment, by brigade. We were not en masse. And so this attack came to a halt. The 2nd Corps did follow up, but 2 divisions of the 2nd Corps under General Sumner's, one went left, General French, and one went right, General Sedgwick. Sedgwick got pinned down in the Westwoods. He was flanked on both sides, and so I received no help. It was not a good morning. We did all that work. We were on the field for many hours, and we had to pull back because we received no reinforcements and no ammunition. And so
September 22nd move to Harper's Ferry. October 30th, November 17th advance up Loudoun Valley and movement to Falmouth, Virginia. November 29th, Colonel Hinks, still on convalescent leave, promoted to Brigadier General. The Battle of Fredericksburg was fought December 11th through 15th in 1862 and will be covered in Chapter 4.